Derek, thanks very much for your presentation. I'm not a manufacturer. If I was, I'd be pretty nervous from a legal point of view, because you talked a lot about how the culpability or liability doesn't just lie in the creation of the machine, but also in the process of thinking through the safety standards, communicating those safety standards, providing training, watching how the machine is being used, all that. So can you talk a little bit about how careful manufacturers have to be in terms of making sure that they've covered themselves legally?
Well, I think the focus is primarily on the design and manufacture of the machine when it's made, when it leaves the manufacturer's control. That's generally the date that is focused on for evaluating whether the product's defective, whether the warnings and instructions are adequate, whether it was manufactured properly. But most states now will impose on a manufacturer under certain circumstances a post-sale duty to warn, and there's been a lot written on that. And it generally comes up when a manufacturer learns after the product's out in the marketplace that some additional or different warning should have been given. I think for the most part, the warnings are probably going to be okay if they're properly drafted to begin with, but you could find out. There was an article I read recently by a colleague of mine that goes into that in great depth, and that would be something that I could make available, to give somebody a reference to that they might want to read. I would recommend that.
One of the things you talked about is not having sort of a, I guess from a journalistic point of view, kind of a smoking gun document around manufacturing, around safety and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, you just don't want to create dangerous documents. You don't want to create something that the plaintiff's lawyers can get their hands on and say, aha, here's proof that you cared more about profit than safety, or some admission that they can use to go after you.
Right. And you also want to have a process in place for establishing safety mechanisms for your products and training materials that you can show that you've actually taken the care and caution that was needed, right?
Yeah, what I was talking about there was the hazard analysis. Every manufacturer should be able to show that they've done a risk analysis or hazard analysis. Sometimes it's in writing, sometimes it's not. If it's done properly and can be in writing, it can be very effective, but you want to show that reasonable steps have been made to design the product safely to reduce the risk to an acceptable level.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.